Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to an exciting, riveting, and amazing Propagandacast from your host from Pearl Dane, the one, the only master propaganda hero, like defender of the fatherland of your 1v1 own Langraskaya in the north. It is Boomerwaffen, fighting here for the Oberkommand West Germany, Deutschland. Here with the 116th Panzer Division Windhund with Grand Offensive, Luftwaffe Ground Forces, and Overwatch. In the south, it is Skeletron, fighting for America, freedom, and democracy here with the 3rd Armored Division. Rolling out with Mechanized as always, with Mechanized groups, 76 on the Shermans, mortar half-tracks, combined arms, well, and cavalry and combined arms, slight slip up there. Big hearty thanks to my Patreon supporters who keep the Propagandacast running with their monthly support. They've had patrons, so big thanks to all those. As always, other people can join the ranks and support the work of it by pledging on Patreon themselves. Links in the video description. Westward, see we've got Sturmpini advancing there for Boomerwaffen. Kublon filling up with a bit of extra motorization for him. Aggressive capping order here. Note he's mostly focusing on some of the easiest strategic points at the edge here, which is a bit interesting. Capping order. Kublon will probably move to grab the car point and then the full towards the fuel point here. But it's an interesting capping order here for North Langraskaya here from a Boomerwaffen. Meanwhile, Skeletron just more focused securing the points around his base here. This does mean that Boomerwaffen gets a bit more fuel here early game, though of course Skeletron gets a bit more munitions here in the early game. Sturmpini falling back, could have kept fighting here, but probably figured with all the heavy cover around here, favouring Skeletron here, trying to get close to the Sturmpini, could backfire on Boomerwaffen, and so rather than waste time on that, he quickly disengages and pulls back, maybe hoping that Skeletron worries there could be something there instead. East side here we got the Kuban catching the Dart Truck here. Second full squad there for Boomerwaffen. Dart Truck being pushed back. Here's the Kuban rips into it with its machine gun gewehr there. Doing some light, but not exactly catastrophic damage to the vehicle. Fresh rough squad for Skeletron. Engaging the Kugelwagen, second squad catching as well, and Boomerwaffen of course is quick to just disengage for the Kugelwagen because, well, it's just going to get turned into a scrap wagon there if he's not careful. Heading up the east side here with the full screen and the Sturmpioneer, wire off here to deny the Yankees any cover. West side is moving up here, dodging up, so the Ralph squad advancing in here. Truck on the way there for Boomerwaffen, skirmishing around the centre here. Samex there, briefly considered, but quickly stopped due to the whole being under fire thing. But now, yeah, quick retreat here. 2 squads versus 1, particular Ralph squads versus full screen is pretty much cause for an immediate retreat there. He would have just wasted manpower. In fact, he even suffered 1 loss there before that much time to retreat. Skeletron, looking to further, of course, exacerbate the advantage he currently has, is just going to push forward to the Ralph squad. Dart Truck rushing with the 50 cal they're mounted on it. Further making things tough here for Boomerwaffen, who's got a fast truck out there. Could be Jaegers, perhaps. Maybe he's planning ground defense with some Panther. It's hard to say here, though. I think he would have gone for that by now instead. So there we go. Troops push back here. Nice push here of a Skeletron, hitting Boomerwaffen hard here like a brick through the window. Focus up and the focus regions flanking in there. Going straight for the car point here. It is a marvelous assault here by Boomerwaffen, or Skeletron so far. Boomerwaffen is completely just forced to retreat here as Skeletron just keeps slamming away there for democracy. Troop reinforcing there. Truck gets it up. I cannot help deal with the Dart Truck plus any other vehicles. Of course, he might be concerned Skeletron could be chucking at him. We got Lieutenant, 5th cal there. And I imagine the concern for Boomerwaffen, of course, will be the eventual Stuart light tank. So there we go. Carve point secured. Also grab some points here right next to his opponent's base. Skeletron just keeps the advance here for freedom and democracy. Kuban being faced up. Got the cannon find ready here, though, for Boomerwaffen. That will be a significant threat here to the Dart Truck, and at least for the time being, not much else. Veterans 1 already on that. 4 kills, very good here. Kuban raising in. Got Liaison coming the car point, plus additional infantry for Ralph squad and the Lieutenant. Really tough start here for Boomerwaffen. Really tough start. It was briefly looking good there, and then Skeletron, of course, well, kind of ruined it all. But there you go. Academy scores the direct kill here on the Dart Truck, completely blowing apart the big Jeep there. No beeping about there anymore, that's for sure. Sturmpioneer follows the Lieutenant here. Mighty Beinhandgranate. Belgrade headquarters up here for Boomerwaffen. There you go. Incendiary grenade there. Catching Lieutenant in a sea of fire, misery, and sauerkraut. Wait, what? And his Ralph squad there in a awkward position. Cannot for now being moved up. Probably just to grab points because obviously it's going to be of no use against any of Skeletron's current units. But that doesn't mean you can't still just use to grab points here. So I think that's a smart move there by Skeletron. Thumbs up there. And Boomerwaffen, I mean, not Skeletron. Dart Truck got ruined, so... Oh, it actually is there, so for some reason I thought it was over there. Not so sure of that. We got a 5th cal out here. And he could, of course, try and salvage, but while under fire from a 5th cal, it probably isn't the smartest move to remove the only piece of heavy cavalry he's got. But if we could grab that for some extra fuel, that would obviously be handy there for Boomerwaffen. Still no commander, though. Kind of commandant. Skeletron there moving ever closer here towards the Stuart light tank, the M5A1. 50 cal there on the calf point, of course, looking to immediate pressure ahead. Boomerwaffen here with medics and the mechanized group up there. No commander yet chosen from. The Lakem routed. Could theoretically... Oh, Luftwaffe ground forces. He could theoretically cancel this, call in a Fudge Mega Squad here behind Skeletron, though that would obviously be a bit risky, but it's a theoretical option. So the Luftwaffe ground forces, 3rd Fallschirmjäger Regiment here being hauled in to assist the 1 and 16th Panzerdivision Windhund. So there you go, medics ready. We got fighting position. Even Skeletron is really going out against Boomerwaffen with a somewhat atypical cut-off pin here with a full-on fighting position. You do not see those very often, but definitely I think indicates here that Skeletron is feeling, you know, pretty confident about this. Pretty confident. Certainly not the sort of thing you want to see parked outside your doorstep, that's for sure. Grand Western Point with the foot, because at least he's, you know, able to, like, you know, maneuver around here. Skeletron, avoiding, you know, just getting ground down here pointlessly. Though, of course, I imagine he's going to have to, like, deal with this eventually, but it does help mitigate some of that. We got a fighting squad on the way there for Boomerwaffen. Thumbs up. And we got there the Stuart light tank almost done for Skeletron, pushing in Ken from the wrong angle here. Yikes, I don't know what went wrong there for Boomerwaffen there for there. It was a misclick. Maybe it was a bug, I don't know. Sometimes those units can occasionally get a bit of funny ideas into their head there. Fighting Mega Squad has landed all the way behind here. Landing behind the opponent's front line, but at the same time, you know, making sure, like, you know, it doesn't get the complete Crete experience by just getting his Fallschirmjägers murdered on the spot, which, for those wondering, is what happened during Crete when the Germans launched a massive, you know, airborne operation to take the island. The problem was they dropped too close to the locals, amongst other things, but also, you know, the British, and B, early German Fallschirmjägers did not actually drop the weapons. They were dropped in separate canisters. They basically had a lot of, you know, unarmed troops in a sense, except for the pistols, and things ended up poorly as both A, the British troops, and B, the locals, well, gave the Fallschirmjägers a very hard time. Fallschirmjäger squad, they're routed, full pushing forward, see 5th cal, they're flanked. Really awkward here for Boomerwaffen though, but he's still fighting. The Kenner trying to get close. Almost got the 5th cal there too, but fell a bit short. And there you go, Ravscott going for the Kenner. For real mess here though for Boomerwaffen with its fighting position. The carve point certainly does help with the relations. And then of course you get a guy with a Rav grenade launcher in it too. Flak half take for Boomerwaffen. He keeps up the fight though. He is a spirited attacker here. Not to be deterred by such, otherwise, you know, pretty grim misfortune see unleashed upon his doorstep. Nope. It's a tough spot to be in for Boomerwaffen, no mistake. And there you go, full white models, full squads there. Ravscott being pushed back by the Fallschirmjägers, west side here, full to the Ravscott there. Yeah, one of the consequences of the Crete was, besides, you know, making other armies go, huh, there's something to these massive airborne infantry operations, is actually make the Germans go in the opposite direction and go, yeah, we're not going to do this again. We don't like this. Well, specifically, the Fuhrer kind of went, yeah, I don't think this is a good idea. And so any large-scale airborne operation from the German side pretty much halted. I mean, they still do some smaller airborne drops here and there, but, you know, nothing quite on the scale of Crete ever again. Flak out for the Falcon fought against Ravscott here, catching them pretty bad spot there. So you should be able to deal with the fighting position now, that's for sure. But really, I'd say this fighting position's paid us off fairly well there. Got a White, got a Kuhwagen, but also crucially just, you know, really made things awkward here for Boomerwaffen. That is a hell of a fighting position there for Skeletron, so thumbs up. Definitely not something you should always try and go for, but I think Skeletron just basically saw the opportunity and he took it, and I'd say he's been fairly well rewarded for it, truth be told. So it's going to be, again, a tough time here for Boomerwaffen to get back from this. I mean, he's, I think, reasonably well handled this, though, again, trying to play around to some degree, but the Stuart kind of makes it difficult for him to keep doing that, so he kind of had to, like, give up after some point there. Got the fighting position. They finally need to deploy smoke, though, disengage the flak half track before Skeletron's 5th cal turns that into scrap metal. Fallschirmjägers are flanking the 5th cal here, ripping through with the FT-42s and the Carnot TKs. Stuart here going for the Fallschirmjägers. Sturmpuny charging forwards. Bazooka fire down the Fallschirmjäger. The Kernmer for flak half track going vorwärts. Sturmpuny going for Lieutenant. Ripping through the lieutenant there, routing them. Almost got them right there. Close, but not quite. Grabbing the cut-off point. Arrive squad moving up here for Skeletron. And an MD-30 for Boomerwaffen. Certainly a hectic first 10 minutes of the game, that's for sure. Arrive squad moving up, stood there, still of course moving about here for Skeletron. Forced to flank around again for the eastern fuel point. I mean, Skeletron does have a significant fuel lead over his opponent. Could eventually push with some fairly fast tanks here. Those first going for weapon racks there. Not, of course, a bad move at all. Stewart versus the full Grenadier. Black half track, ripping this rifleman there, limb from limb, Panther versus Stewart light tank here. Looks like Skeletron might have slightly forgotten about things here, which is great for Boomerwaffen's anti-aircraft crews, as they're going to gain a lot of experience from just shooting those Americans who refuse to get out of position. There we go. Looks like Skeletron finally remembered they existed. Ultimaker's MD-30 moving on the center here. If you get a bit more infantry, you could dispatch it westward to hit the points there. 5th cal levels the flak half or getting suppressed here. And firing at the Sturm Pioneer to boot. Already veterans one on the flak half track. 5th cal crew there heavily damaged. Stood racing in, having thanks up damage. But there you go. Good hit from the cannon for the smoke deployed. And there we go. Pushes forward here for the smoke rather than behind. Because again, you know, that's likely where the Stuart's going to move there. So I think that was a really good read there. But Boomerwaffen, he still loses it. Because in the end, it has very little health. So like, you know, anything pretty much grazing it's going to take it out. Can he take out the Stuart at least? That's going to be less great there for him if he can't do that. Sturm is about to get wiped out. We do have Falchman squad moving about in the rear though. Got the 5th cal wiped. If he could get his hands on that, that would help mitigate against some of the losses Boomerwaffen has been suffering so far. But again, it's still not a great spot to be in for Boomerwaffen. But he is really putting up a hell of a fight here though. I mean, make no mistake. Boomerwaffen is giving it as well as he got. I'd say that is a pretty good fight so far. Functional relations here could wipe them out here. That could be another blow here to Skeleton. Obviously only a minor blow. They are after all in the rear echelons. In the center Flux routing here the lieutenant. Ralph squad they held up here. Another fighting squad for Boomerwaffen. Gonna leverage hard his elite infantry here. Versus Skeletron has gone for cavalry rifleman. Gold's got the major on the way there, I believe. Yes indeed. If you can get that 5th cal alongside a bunch of Fallschirmjägers, that should give Boomerwaffen something to work with against Skeletron here. Obviously, it's going to be a tough fight, make no mistake, and he's going to certainly be behind in the armor race by a fair bit, but he's going to have something to work with, so thumbs up here to Boomerwaffen. An absolutely impressive comeback here so far. He's going for more Raketenwerfers because he's going to need more Raketenwerfers, make no mistake. Grab the eastern fuel pump, pushing that west side here. Thumbs up to Boomerwaffen with more Fallschirmjägers on the move. Seizing pawns there, but also bring forwards. Of course, as the war went on, I do believe the Fallschirmjägers just kind of dropped the FD-42 and just moved up the MD-42s and other weapons. I believe even assault rifles became, you know, fairly common part of their armaments, and plus, you know, they were also quite, you know, adept at just grabbing whatever they felt like was good for the opponents. I've seen footage of them with a variety of submachine guns, American, Soviet, British make. And apparently, in some cases, of Fallschirmjäger units being heavily equipped with Sten guns as well, so something to consider there. Anyways, 5th cal holding up here, a bit of an anchor point here for Boomerwaffen, and the 116th Panzerdivision backed up by the 3rd Fallschirmjäger Regiment. Truck on the way, there'll be the Schwerer Panzer quarters here for Boomerwaffen, but really he's like managed to crawl back from I think a tough position I think many other players would struggle to come back from, so 2 thumbs up. Of course, there's a lot here to salvage. That's like 15 fuel. That'd be a pretty good thing I think if Boomerwaffen to grab, if you could get around to doing that. That would be pretty good for him. Ralph's Corps attacking in here. Fallschirmjägers already down to 2 men, so of course doing excellent work here versus Boomerwaffen. There you go, Raken with the job opening up here in the Stuart light tank, punching through it with its 88mm rockets. Rifle squad holding up here, back Lieutenant ultimating about. He looks like he's going to try and flank around here and then run into the 50 cal. Re-exposed would actually mean if he pops the armor piercing rounds, the 50 cal could actually do some damage to the Stuart light tank as well, I think. And there you go, Raken over here. If he'd done them with armor piercing rounds ahead of time. Oh, he didn't need it stood down. That's quite a blow to Skeletron. This could be, you know, more serious beginning of a comeback for Boomerwaffen versus Skeletron. Obviously, there's still a long way to go, but and there's also the fact that Skeletron will soon be chucking medium tanks at him. But, you know, it is worth considering here. Skeletron, realizing that the infantry game is going more in his opponent's favor, is calling in more cavalry riflemen equipped with the M3 Grease gun. Of course, going to be upgraded with the Thompson. Fifth cal going to advance in the center. Fallschirmjäger's advancing, and there we go. Schwere Panzer quarters up for Boomerwaffen. Should get some Sturm here out in the near future. Though, of course, we're paying a future army's going to get, and he still should salvage whatever he can for extra fuel. That would do Mr. Boomerwaffen a lot of good. At least some good. Meanwhile, Skeletron's got a fair amount of force there, so got another fifth cal out. They obviously realizing having those are pretty good. There you go, salvaging. Thumbs up to Boomerwaffen. Fallschirmjäger is there almost fully in force as well. And once this is up, can upgrade them with additional FD-42s. Cavalry rifle on the move here. Cavalry rifle up the side here as well, but that's 2 squads. Rifle squad also moving up here. He's going to need more support here. Fallschirmjägers maybe up the machine gun set up to cover through here. The field's there, but guess it's not. Cavalry rifle up close as the 5th cal is definitely bad news for the cavalry rifleman. At the same time, the 5th cal there is totally getting just swarmed with bullets and angry Americans, so probably should get out of there before they get entombed within that old wooden house. Machine gun there firing into position. And the situation of Skeletron on the eastern fields is kind of going a bit southwards. Westwards though, like Kedner's caught here. 5th cal lieutenant and a rifle squad here. Good chance of getting wiped here on Boomerwaffen Kedner for there. Again, he's just using scrap points because he's figured, you know, well, he's not going to deal with tanks anytime soon. West or centerwards, straight for the car point there. Boomerwaffen dives in, and artillery strike called in here by Skeletron on Boomerwaffen there around the center. Authorization almost done, troop enforcing healing. And there you go, need to retreat that full score, but still, he hit the car point. He's now denying his opponent some of the resources there. Boomerwaffen there, of course, knowing the name of the game. Fallschirmjäger here very close to Vetri too, but they're also close to having those additional FD-42s. Cavalry rifle there versus a soon fully upgraded Fallschirmjäger squad that is very, very close to 82. It's definitely not a great engagement there for Skeletron's cavalry rifleman. 5th cal in the center. Causing healing. Kind of fooling around. Bit of skirmishing here. Eastern field points for the Americans again though. Skeleton, of course, with a lot of infantry, can also exert a lot of map pressure. He's got a total of 5 squads here, versus an opponent with just 3 squads. They do have 2 machine guns. Of course, 2 of those infantry squads are Fallschirmjägers, but still, he just has a lot more. Turn and push back here. Closing in on the Panther 4 here, but we've got Skeletron there with the 76mm Sherman. He is probably going for it because he will be anticipating a Panther 4 model J here from his opponent, so obviously having something with a bit more punch against that is going to be a pretty decent idea. Fallschirmjäger advancing here. Vetri 2 there. Of course, the armament is close to Veterans who won in the first place. We got rear echelons with BRs as well here. Skeletron just adding as much firepower as he can there against those goddamn Nazis. 5th cal moving up here. Major flanking in there. Sherman almost done here. Boomerwaffen closing in on a Panther 4, though after that he will need Sturmpioniere to, you know, repair it. Westwards, the MD-34 going pretty aggressively here, catching Skeletron's force outside his base. Nice aggressive push here by Boomerwaffen. The Kedner back to points there. We got the Fallschirmjägers in better condition being pushed eastwards, and Raken quickly moving to grab the fuel point while the Fallschirmjägers are murdering the Major. At least attempted murder. Sherman out there for Skeletron. MD-34 continuing to act as a bit of a obstacle here for Skeletron's infantry in the west. Of course, the Sherman will soon put an end to that. There we go. I imagine that's going to be a full retreat here from Boomerwaffen on the west side. The Ked getting out of the machine and getting out of there. Alongside those Volksgrenadiers. Yep. So, still, Boomerwaffen is close to Panther 4. He could surprise us with a Yak Panther 4, but I think under current circumstances he's going to go for the Panther 4. Good, helpful versus the Sherman, but also crucially quite useful against all of this infantry Skeletron has. Boomerwaffen, though, surprises us with a 3rd Fallschirmjäger squad. Interesting. Does he intend to go for the Panther 4 here? I mean, it doesn't delay it by too much, I suppose, but the timing is certainly a bit unusual here. Like, he was so close to the Panther 4, And you'd figure he'd prioritize that, but I guess he might be dreaming of Panther instead here, just relying a lot on lead infantry to support that Panther. I mean, that's an interesting move there by Boomerwaffen, though. Arguably could have done that with, you know, a Yak Panzer. But anyways, Lieutenant here was the Fallschirmjäger. Again with the Sherman. MG-34 Fallschirmjägers will move here on the west side. We got the 5th cal backing up with full support. These moves up there. East side, the Skeletron launching a smaller infantry incursion here. Gonna hit that eastern fuel point. The center Sherman up, supporting the main push here. It would appear 5th cal infantry. All that there. Schwere Panther quarters, though, putting a halt here to Skeleton's counterattack here. East side, the Raketen being hauled towards the center. Yeah, Fallschirmjäger here getting upgraded still. Does delay the reinforcements a bit, and I don't think Boomerwaffen realize they're not fully reinforced. There we go. Moving up here again into the building, this time with the 5th cal. Pretty bold here by Boomerwaffen, and I think this could backfire on the buildings or now structurally heavily damaged. Sherman could crush the building, actually. I think that's exactly what Skeleton's going to attempt here. Not. However, Boomerwaffen hauling the 5th cal out of there, close call. I mean, I get the idea, but I think with the Sherman out, until we get rid of that, that's going to be a pretty risky move. There go, building collapse, smoke screen on the center. But lacks the forces to push in with. Boomerwaffen is getting close to the Panther here. The Panzerkampfwagen 5 Ausführung A. Grabbing the eastern fuel point there with the Kahlwaffen once more. Skeletron does not miss a beat in the fuel wars. Troops enforcing healing here. 2 Fallschirmjäger scores to the FT-42s. Sherman fixed up. Turn her up in the center. Sneaking up the eastern point here with a Fallschirmjäger. And another 5th cal here for Skeletron. Worth noting, neither side really has any artillery. Go MG forcing up, we got regulations in the building here, providing covering fire. Boomerwaffen can go for the Panther now, the Panzerkampfwagen 5. And there we go, Panther on the way here. I mean, a fairly elite force though for Boomerwaffen with a total of 3 Fallschirmjäger squads here. But the Sherman does represent a significant obstacle for the Fallschirmjägers they're not quite prepared for dealing with. So he's going to need, you know, some tanks to back them up here. Fallschirmjäger team will be staying in the center. But can also lead Sherman here. Taking shot whiffs. Fallschirmjägers as a lieutenant. Regular Sherman away there for Skeletron. Fallschirmjägers here suppressed by the 5th cal there. Thumbs up to Skeletron, of course. Good use of the 5th cal there actively against the Germans. Though, admittedly, Boomerwaffen is not exactly a slouch with his machine guns either. So, you know, thumbs up to him too. But the Panther is right around the corner for Boomerwaffen. Right around. Kahlwaffen trying to flank around the 5th cal, of course, forgot about the Schwere Panzer quarters. But the Schwere Panzer quarters did not forget about them. Promptly suppresses them. There you go. Boomerwaffen's Panthers out here. Got an artillery strike on the 5th cal there, forcing that away. We got 432 with 309. Panther moving forwards here. Sherman could be in a bit of danger zone down here. We'll have to see which path he takes. There you go. Panther hit there. Panther hit for the rear. Bad spot to be in for the Sherman, honestly, here. There's not, like, any serious snares there except the Kahlwaffen. They have to get pretty close. There you go. God, the Sherman. Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. Right in front of the Kahlwaffen here. They do not have the munitions. That was a really aggressive bet here by Boomerwaffen. This time, though, it fails. He gets hit with a satchel charge here. He's driving further and further away from the rest of his force as well there. I don't think that's a good move here by Boomerwaffen, to be honest. I think the ideal would be moving closer, but deploying smoke here, using smoke bombs to allow his infantry to catch up with his Panther. Instead, now he's driving, like, closer to the opponent's base. Which, of course, means it's further isolated, but it also creates a potentially bad situation with Boomerwaffen, because, like, say, what happens if it gets abandoned? Like, it's going to be easily within Skeletron's reach and very far out of Boomerwaffen's reach. So, I mean, I get the idea once to get away the threats to the Panther, but at the same time, I do think the ideal move would have been, like, earlier, deploying smoke and then driving through the smoke, come hell or high water. Instead, you know, he's really betting hard on, you know, his tank not getting abandoned. In this case, his prayers were heard, but imagine if that hadn't been the case. So, I mean, he did take out 2 Shermans with it. I mean, that's pretty decent value for a Panther, no mistake. The problem is, of course, as always, is, like, you know, you lose a Panther, it's going to take ages to get, like, you know, a replacement for it. you'd kill 2 Shermans, they can at least replace 1 Sherman fairly quickly. Meaning Skeletron's going to be much more easily able to just, bring in 1 tank, whereas again, Boomerwaffen's going to wait ages to have 1 tank himself now. Definitely not optimal there for Boomerwaffen. Even technically, the trade wasn't terrible. Again, it wasn't the best either. Got Falchmega back here. He also did lose a Falchmega squad during all of this. He'll need to replace some of his infantry. He still doesn't have any Sturmpioneer. Got the Eastern Field Pawn there. Westwards there, we got the 5th Cavalry and the Kidnapper for there. Closing in by 2-4 on these Falchmega. Not entirely sure what Boomerwaffen's plan is. He does have a lot of munitions. Good, Theoris is up for Van Assault as well here. That with some Falchmegas fully upgraded could lead to some very uncomfortable consequences for Skeletron's infantry and their continued welfare. But there goes Skeletron with another Sherman tank because he is quite well aware that's really all he's going to need at least for a while because Boomerwaffen's not behind him with any tanks anytime soon. I think it's a really good read here tactically on the situation by Skeletron. 5th Cal catching the on the west. In fact, he secured himself another 5th Cal here from Skeletron. So he's got 2 5th Cals and an MG34. I mean, that's not exactly bad here for Boomerwaffen. Certainly very bad for Skeletron's infantry to be caught by that. And we got the Cavalry charging the Falchmegas and the Fulch in the east, taking a lot of damage here from a lot of guns. Send their 5th Cal holding up here. Falchmegas moving about. Manpower float, bit significant there. I do think you should go for some infantry, more Falchmegas or Obersoldaten, Sturmpioneer. Take your pick, but I do think he needs to make a pick here. I definitely think he needs a bit more infantry. So he goes for a 3rd Academy. I mean, that's technically not a terrible choice either. So not with the armor difference as it is, but it does come with some risk to operate that many Academy as well. There you go, we can let it go here in the Sherman. Let's see, we've got the 5th Cal catching the squad out in the open, suppressing it. Routing it. MD34 setting up here. Got Airborne here unleashed upon Skeletron. Note the timing here and the sort of setting up there. It does become harder here for Skeleton Sanctus to drive out of it, though not impossible, of course. The key, of course, to make sure they can't just, go a few seconds out and then out of it. Still pretty reasonable within range here of the Sherman. At least I think, did a reasonable job of it, minimizing that ability, and he's still got a lot of damage on the Sherman. Will this be enough to really, pay off for this airborne assault? That, of course, is another matter entirely. Fifth Cal is the Fulch Grenadiers. On the west side, we got the Falchmegas Lamu here near east level. Brandhand gun on the 5th Cal there. E34 Falchmegas here as the reaction inside the building. Definitely giving Boomerwaffen a bit of a headache with him. 5th Cal almost wiped out in the center as well. Imagine we've gotten another 5th Cal here away from Skeletron. That would certainly become a bit of a thorn in the side here of Skeletron. Closing another Panther full, but he got Panther, but certainly also not impossible. He might be dreaming of something bigger. He lost one Academy for here. At least it hasn't been seized by Skeletron as opposed for Boomerwaffen's sake. 5th Cal caught in a bad position. I think he just needs to retreat that. Honestly, there's just too much infantry with too much firepower. That means trying to set out that 5th Cal there, it just means it's going to get wiped. So retreating there is absolutely the best choice. East side, he got a bomb grenade off here. Cavalry have no easily dodge it, force them away. I think he should have gone with the blend curve. But Sherman strikes once more for Skeletron. Not fully repaired, but it clearly does not particularly care about that. Boomerwaffen here could go for a Panther fort, but I suppose it is possible he wants to go for a Panther again. Almost had the Sherman there, Brandhand Grenadier there, 5th Cal ripping through the infantry, and we got the Fulch Squad white, leaving Boomerwaffen now with just the Falchmegas here as infantry. He has nothing but Falchmegas for infantry. And he's floating manpower, so he can easily afford more infantry, but he still isn't going for it. Even he's planning the Panther, I feel like he's putting a bit too much faith into these Falchmegas. Just a bit much. We got Insane Appearance being activated. Thumbs up there to Boomerwaffen activating his ability. It does tend to get a bit overlooked, but I think it is all quite solid. Turn around it. Falchmegas advancing. Gonna engage the Fallschirmjägers. Good shot from the cannon over here. Ooh, on the other hand, really good shot from the Sherman, those Fallschirmjägers. That was almost a full white there. On his ace Fallschirmjägers, that would have been an absolute slap across the face there. Boomerwaffen, he'd lost him there. Now the Sherman here for Skeletron. Killer strike there, forcing your Boomerwaffen support to reposition. Still hasn't cracked that one. The cannon over back. He's definitely betting everything on that Panther. That's probably why it's keeping the manpower is to, like, you know, because, like, you know, having to constantly keep, like, a running tab in your head, like, you know, how much manpower do you exactly have is too much. He's just floating a bit on the top there to make sure he can call in the Panther, and then, you know, whatever calling infantry needs afterwards. But it really needs one infantry, though. Jump going in hard here. Second Sherman almost done there for Skeletron and the 3rd Armored Division. Westward C MD-34 could try and push the western fuel point, perhaps risky, but... Got Fin 96 to 195. Boomerwaffen is very close to that Panther at this point. I do think he's got the manpower for something besides the Panther, but... I imagine, again, it's very much a case of, like, you know, making sure he doesn't have to, like, you know, think too hard about it. There you go. And again, he's more or less got the manpower already. Got the infantry westward C. Can call another Fallschirmjäger squad. He could also go for Obersoldaten. He could go for Sturmpionier. Volksgunnis, whatever. Like, he just needs more infantry. I mean, he's up against an opponent with 5 squads. 6 if you really push the relations there with the bars and legendary fear into it as well there. And he's got like 2 Fallschirmjäger squads. I mean, they're great, but you know, they do have the limits. Garibaldi landing in the 5th Cal here could wipe it up in theory, but it does fall a bit short here. What will Boomerwaffen go for next? What will he choose? What will his decision be? I mean, there definitely needs to be some Sturmpionier for that Panther, unless he intends to, like, you know, take out 2 Shermans and lose another one. And there you go. Sherman almost lands a near wipe again. Good golly. Need to get that eastern fuel point. Got the 2nd Panther ready here for Boomerwaffen. 500 manpower, like he can easily afford another infantry squad here, but something seems to be holding back Boomerwaffen. Perhaps he's just in a state of paralysis there, can't quite make up his mind. 1,000 possibilities flooding through his mind as he's trying to figure out which one is the correct one. And then he does go for another Fallschirmjäger squad. But still, he needs some Sturmpionier on top of that. It's now he needs to go for Mechanized Regiment with Repair Pioneers. Going in for a pretty aggressive drop here. Basically a creep drop, like right in front of the enemy. Does retreat there, but almost loses the entire unit. I get what he was doing. He wasn't expecting like the opponent to have like 2 cavalry arriving upgrade with Thompsons there, but that's what was waiting there. Okay, we'll wait until calling the Fallschirmjägers in the building here. Boomerwaffen is definitely getting a bit of a drubbing here from Skeletron. Sherman tank for several angles here, very good. Fallschirmjägers push out in the open here. MD-34 taking what came up the Sherman here. Panther misses the Sherman. Kenman does not, getting that T3, very good there. Shot bounced, almost got the Sherman here, and there you go. 1 Sherman down, great kill here from Waffen. Quite the blow to Skeletron. That's just under 1 tank versus a Panther, though he does have some bazookas and whatnot. Panther bounces the shot there from the Sherman. Bazooka team's going out, of course, got the big effect of the cavalry rifle. If they get close to the Panther, there's a good chance to lose it to all the satchel charges. You need to get the 5th Cal to deal with those. MD-34's about to grab you, I think, by Skeletron. Perhaps not. 5th Cal, though, does put a stop here to Skeletron's infantry assault. And they do grab the MD-34 right under Boomerwaffen's nose there. Ken have caught a bad spot here outnumbered by the Sherman. Panther, of course, in need of repairs. And again, Boomerwaffen has no way of repairing it at the moment. All Lieutenant Bazooka fire here. 5th Cal catch Marv squad in the east, suppress them. We got Raketten wiped out. There's by his own remaining Raketten for crew that is dead. Sherman charging in here. Boomerwaffen cleared under a lot of pressure, a lot of stress here from Skeletron. And I think it's causing Boomerwaffen to struggle here with, like, the decisions he needs to make here versus Skeletron. Like, he's got a lot of Rakenners lying about, but the problem is without full skill, he's going to have to use the fairly expensive Fallschirmjägers to reinforce them, and he'd probably also like them to shoot at the infantry. So, in that sense, if it's sort of starting to see some flaws here in Boomerwaffen's current state of affairs, like he'd need something else. He's finally going for some Sturmpionier, at least that's helpful. But there's still like the issue, he's just suffered so many losses now. And Skeletron just keeps up the attacks, he keeps up the aggression. And Skeletron is a very aggressive player. And Boomerwaffen is definitely starting to feel the heat from that. Westward, see we got the Falcon at the western victory point here. Got the center being crap as well here. Panther taking some nasty hits. Veterans won this Sherman, those closing on 82. Raketen were wiped out again. 50 cal pinned down by the American 50 cal. Falcon's going to flank around here. Not a bad idea. 76 from Sherman away. Finally got the Sturmpionier ready there for Boomerwaffen. Finally got them. Got the BAR dropped out there. Raft Court, they suppressed 50 cal wipe. Falcon bun grenading the other machine with each retreat before they get wiped. The Cavrapton. Uksook. Sherman being fixed up close to the front line here. 50 cal being hold forts. Panther being fixed up. But he lost the Fallschirmjäger squads there. And now we got the second Sherman around here. The pressure on Boomerwaffen just remains absolutely abysmal here. 50 cal in trouble here. There's just corpses and abandoned weapons increasingly all over the place on this map. Fallschirmjägers 27 kills. Slowly approaching the ace level. But yeah, the Sherman is in pursuit and they will have to retreat. The Panther still being fixed up. It's going to take the Sturmpionier forever. And they actually want another Sturmpionier squad just to, you know, expedite the repairs on the Panther a bit. Because without that, it becomes even tougher here for Skeletron to affect the battlefield. In fact, he's sending in the Sturmpionier now. They might in fact get wiped here. Oh dear. What an absolute mess here for Boomerwaffen. He's kind of finding himself in by now. The Kevin's being destroyed here by Skeletron. Smart move, of course. Panther being sort of pushed to the front line here despite being far from fully repaired. But Boomerwaffen just... he can't afford it. Like, he just has so few forces left on the field here. He just cannot afford to, like, you know, not have it there.
It's time for action. Panther, ready to move.
Good shot here from the Panther. 50 cal sitting up here. Yeah, there we go. He actually grabs a 50 cal with Fallschirmjägers. I mean, it's going to pack a punch for sure, but, like, it's also going to be, like, expensive. And also means, like, you know, he just, you know, effectively spent his ace Fallschirmjägers, near ace Fallschirmjäger squads just to do that. Like, they're not going to be, like, fighting anytime soon. So, I mean, that's, like, a lot of opportunity lost. We've got the Sturmpionier being used for that. Like, he's just forced, like, expend, like, very expensive infantry just, like, crew all these weapons or, like, has some extra force presence. Rather tough spot interview for Boomerwaffen. Rather tough spot. This is not the Deutsches Afrika Corps. We could just drive a truck and just, you know, have them crew the guns there for them at a low cost. So, Sherman holding back here. Other Sherman holding up as well here. Skeletron at this point seems to be holding most of the cards. Boomerwaffen, of course, still theoretically has some hopes here. I mean, he still has, like, a Panther in theory. But he does have, like, a lot of, you know, elite Fallschirmjägers, so it's not, like, you know, all lost, but it's a tough spot to be in for Boomerwaffen. It's a really tough spot to be in. Pressure's piling down on from most angles here, and Skeletron just does not let up. Like, the only benefit for Boomerwaffen is Skeletron just really doesn't bother the mortars. That could even make things even worse here for Boomerwaffen, truth be told. But again, thankfully for him, Skeletron just does not seem to be big on mortars here. 5th cal what? There's Sherman charging in there, clearing out the 5th cal. Fallschirmjägers there near ace level. Skeleton launching the assault. He's got the Kidnap there also, of course, now here crewed. Panther building distance here. Sherman tracing forwards. That Fallschirmjäger squad there needs to be very, very careful. About to get wiped. We got 68 with the 377. Schwerer Panther squad holding one raft squad here. Sherman takes another hit from the Kidnap. Got another squad flanking that like Kidnap. Panther's being fixed again, heavily damaged. He needs more Sturmpionier. He really badly needs to more, maybe another Panther, a Panther from the first place. I mean, I suppose you could try and go for another Panther, but that would honestly be currently utterly ludicrous under the sheer amount of pressure that Skeletron's like pushing at him. Like, with only 1 to 2 on Pioneer Squad, or he's trying to just repair 1 Panther, 2 Panthers would of course be absolutely insane. Bonkers. Bananas. Part of them can push forwards. Almost got the Kevin there, wiped. 50 points left here, like, just Boomerwaffen is getting slapped silly here by Skeletron. Another sham there for Skeletron, just more tanks. Boomerwaffen's Panther is 2/3 of the way fixed up, but still has a lot more ways to go. We got a Jackson here for Skeletron just here with the Panther. Boomerwaffen still not calling more Sturmpionier, more infantry, anything else. Okay, he's going for a Panther 4, at least he's not going for another Panther. But even that's going to take some time to get, and the question is, will that be fast enough for Boomerwaffen, which is 23 points left here versus Skeletron's 377. Will it be sufficient? We got air support going with Boomerwaffen again, but I honestly think, like, just had more infantry early, and then a Valiant Assault or 2 could maybe done more good for Skeletron than these airborne assaults, honestly. So we got 11 points left here for Skeletron. 8. 5. 2. And I think that's going to be it here. GG for Boomerwaffen. So there you go. GG, game over. A blow hit to Boomerwaffen. A victory for Skeletron. A fierce battlefield fight. A really good start. But Boomerwaffen, impressively enough, was able to stage a comeback. I think the issues like this, then trying to go straight for Panther, I think was where things kind of slightly unraveled here for Boomerwaffen. Even with the first one, had he, I think, tried, some slight different moves, he might be able to salvage, at which point I think he'd been still in a decent position. But losing it so fast, then going for another Panther, I think is sort of where things started to go off the rails here for Boomerwaffen steadily. And at that point, he just sort of kept sinking himself further and further into a quagmire he could never really extricate himself from. Skeletron, meanwhile, just kept up good attacks, good pressure, all that. I think had he just gone for some mortars, he probably could have won this even harder. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned something from it. If you did, subscribe, like, share, comment. Consider telling your friends or your families. Always, if you like what we do, you can support the Propagandacast, help the war effort by donating via PayPal, as well besides Patreon. Links in the description. And if you're in the market pre and communist you can do so by linking in the comments. Use the code STUK3G and I get a small percentage of the sale. So thank you all for joining in. You were all a wonderful audience. Hope you'll tomorrow again for our last episode. Bye.